Valentine's Day, the one day of the year where you shower that special person in your life with chocolate, flowers, and expensive gifts to placate them into not dumping you for someone better. But for those of us whose social lives consist mainly of sitting alone in front of a computer screen for hours on end and praying for death, we have Madame Web, the latest installment in Sony's increasingly desperate attempts to sodomize the life out of the Spider-Man IP, as well as prove that their well-regarded Miles Morales movies were just a fluke. If you even like them in the first place. Which I still don't at me. So this is what not even trying looks like, huh? I thought I knew. After watching Gotham Knights on the CW, I thought I had a good idea of where the needle would fall on the no fucks given meter, but holy moly, I was not prepared for this. Because make no mistake, Madame Web is so embarrassingly bad, even the CW would have passed on it. Hell, if the movie was under that umbrella, it wouldn't even exist anymore. It would be rotting in the vault next to Batgirl forever and for all time, and we'd all be a lot better off. The comic book movie genre certainly would be, but Sony doesn't have a David Zaslav of their very own to make rational, common sense calls like that one, and I guarantee you, right now they wish they did. All of you mark this day on your calendars, because 12 months from now, in 2025, when all those 10 worst of lists are coming out, this will be the worst movie of the year. And I've got news for you, Sony knows that. They only put out the one trailer for it, review embargo up until the last minute. There was that guy from the studio who came out a few weeks ago and said that this movie doesn't connect to anything else in the Sony Spider-Verse. Madame Web is its own separate thing off in its own separate corner, so don't associate any of our other films with it, please. Yeah, they knew this thing was hot garbage. To which I can only say, what the hell did you expect when you handed the writing duties over to the people who brought us Dracula Untold, The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt, and Morbius? I mean, for f***'s sake, Sony, do you need to be reminded what the definition of insanity is?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
The writers of Morbius. Good lord. You'll wish it was Morbin time again after seeing this thing. In fact, I just heard about this the other day. Apparently, right after that first and only trailer dropped, Dakota Johnson fired her agent. And now we know why. It's hard to know what to say here, because when I tried to write this review, I made a lot of notes. But even as I look at them now, I almost feel like they don't matter. Because what do you even need to say about a movie that completely gives up on itself before it even starts? I mean, it seems pretty obvious that the only reason Madame Web even exists is because Sony wanted to ride that wave of momentum from the Marvels and cash in on the all-girls superhero team-up thing while the iron was still red hot. And that is f***ing it. That's the only reason this happened. It wasn't because they had a great story they wanted to tell. It wasn't because anyone at Sony actually believed in this movie. And sure, The Marvels was a gigantic turd fest, but at least with The Marvels there was an attempt. Like, Marvel Studios cared enough to pump a shit ton of money into it and reshoot and re-reshoot and re-re-reshoot the goddamn thing until they thought it was releasable. It still sucked, but there was effort involved. It was just incredibly stupid effort. There was no effort here. Madame Web feels like a movie where very important people who were needed in order to make it just didn't even show up. The plot is the most generic, derivative, lazy crap I've seen in a movie like this in I don't even know how long. It's basically what would happen if you copy-pasted the plots of Terminator and Final Destination, tried to make it a Spider-Man movie with no Spider-Man and no budget, and then gave it to a filmmaker whose entire knowledge of the comics and all the characters in them amounts to glancing at the Wikipedia entry for a few seconds and then saying to herself, TLDR, I'll just make some shit up, LOL. So don't bother with this movie if you care about the comics at all, or if you're in any way excited to see the not Jessica Drew Spider-Women kick some ass in a movie for the first time, or if you're just in the mood for some mindless superhero action escapism, because you don't get any of those things. The closest the movie ever gets to that is the three girls fighting in their super suits. But if you've seen the trailer, then you've seen everything that's in the movie. It's takes less than 60 seconds. For the whole rest of the movie, they're just running around in street clothes whining, "What's happening? How can you see the future? Why is the spider guy trying to kill us? Can we stop for snacks? Man, do our lives suck." And it's not like we ever get concrete answers to most of that stuff either. Shit just gets more and more ridiculous the further it goes. The story, as best I can sum it up, goes like this. There are these spiders that give you superpowers if they bite you, but they're not irradiated spiders or magic spiders, they just naturally evolved that way somehow, which the movie just throws out there, just exposits in the opening scene like it's nothing. Hey, check out these cool spiders. Their venom can give a person superpowers. I'm barely even paraphrasing. If you really think the movie is not that dumb, oh my god, it is. So the bad guy, Ezekiel, gets powers from one of these spiders. And I guess he's based on the Ezekiel character from the JMS run on Amazing Spider-Man. And I didn't connect those dots when I saw the trailer because the only similarity is the f***ing name. Plus, in the comics, he was Spider-Man's ally, not a villain. So because of reasons, he starts hunting these three girls, who are the lamest of lame duck iterations of characters from the comics you could possibly imagine, and who will gain spider powers of their own in the future, though not in this movie. And our main character, Cassie, has to protect them with her ability to see visions of the future before it happens, and other even more batshit stuff that is somehow spider-related because the plot says so. That's the premise, but it has no idea what it's even doing with itself. Nothing about this makes sense. Example, early on, the first couple times they get attacked, they're the only ones who can see the evil spider guy. They make sure to mention this. They can see him, but everyone else can't. That's a story point. But then later on in the movie, suddenly other people can see him, and then it just never comes up again. What was that about? Beats me. The movie doesn't know. It doesn't even seem to care. And speaking of things the movie doesn't give a shit about, you would think that spiders just evolving naturally to give people superpowers if they bite you would be a bigger deal. But it's nothing but a lame-ass plot device. And it starts as something that would be the stupidest thing in any other movie and just gets stupider from there. Because not only can this super special spider venom give people Spider-Man type powers, but it can also give them the power to see the future, the power to be in 4 places at once, and the power to punch a person's soul out of their body like Dr. F***ing Strange. What? Are you f***ing kidding me? What in the bluest of blue hells does any of that have to do with f***ing spiders? I could randomly replace myself in this video with a screenshot of Princess Peach furiously masturbating for no reason at all, and even that would make more sense than this stupid shit does. Anyway, that's the level of writing we're dealing with here. They did not give a f*** about anything. Our main character needs to see the future? How does she do that? Spider bite. Boom. Moving on. If you want a better explanation than that, you're watching the wrong movie. So, not shockingly, writing like this doesn't exactly allow for good performances. You've got a couple talented actors in there, Adam Scott, Emma Roberts, they're completely wasted, but this is really Dakota Johnson's movie, and wow. If you thought Brie Larson sleepwalked her way through the Marvels, that performance looks Oscar-worthy compared to this. Her wooden, lifeless cure for insomnia line delivery in the trailer? Imagine 2 hours of that. And I don't even think better acting would have improved this, but Jesus Christ, Johnson is so utterly, undeniably, unbelievably checked out. The only thing missing was a big thought bubble above her head with the words, "I can't believe I did this to myself, get me the f*** out of this movie" written in it. With the 3 girls, it's a little more obvious that they were just victims of a god-awful script. They at least look like they're trying, but they also seem really confused, like they have no idea what kind of movie they're in. Though, to be fair, the filmmakers didn't know that either. And they don't get to do anything cool. 99% of the time, they're acting like idiots getting led around by Dakota Johnson as she explains the plot to them. So if you're a comics fan super hyped to see Maddie Franklin, Anya Corazon, and Julia Carpenter on the big screen for the first time, lower your expectations into the septic tank. and then flush a metric ton of shit on top of them. And the action is no better. The action is one of the worst things in this. And believe you me, that's saying a lot. The action in this movie is incoherent. Every action sequence, and I mean every single fucking one, is shot and edited so poorly, it's almost impossible to even tell what's happening. They're not staged well, first of all. They clearly didn't have the money to make them look impressive. A lot of the CG looked like it wasn't finished rendering, and they had no fucking clue what to do with the camera. They kept doing this twisty twirly thing where it would very quickly turn upside down and then right side up, which just made everything really disorienting. It's like how some filmmakers use shaky cam to disguise how bad an action scene is, but instead of shaking it, they're just doing this. So that sucks. Which really hurts because the action is the only thing they have to break up these horrendous dialogue scenes, which, when combined with the bad acting and no sense of pacing whatsoever, just makes these scenes drag on and on and on. You have no idea how fucking torturously long this movie feels. Dune Part 1 was nearly 3 hours and it felt like 90 minutes. Madame Web is 1 hour and 56 minutes and I swear to God it felt like it would never fucking end. This thing is at least half an hour too long. There's one scene where the four of them are in a car having just escaped from Ezekiel and they're talking about what just happened. So they're talking and talking and talking and the scene just goes on. And on, and on, and on, and on, and the dialogue is so bad and these actors have no chemistry at all, and it is absolutely fucking painful! This scene is where the 6 other people in my theater started heading for the exit. I was the only one in there by the end of the movie, which, by the way, is where they set up something that, for some reason, they genuinely thought they were going to get to do in the future. As if this entire garbage fire movie was just a prelude to the movies they actually wanted to make and were planning to make this whole time. Which, if nothing else, shows how truly fucking clueless and delusional Sony is. And yes, I said movies plural, because some paint-sniffing dipshit at the studio really thought that this was somehow going to be a launching pad for not one, but multiple spin-offs in some kind of Birds of Prey-esque franchise that someone a hell of a lot more blind than Madame Web could see will never, ever happen. You guys know that I sometimes like to exaggerate for comedic effect. Don't take that to mean that I'm not dead serious about anything I've said in this video, because you don't know, okay? You don't understand. This movie is awful. Awful! Madame Web is so catastrophically bad, I almost wished I was watching the Marvels instead. The plot makes no sense at all. The villain is so flat and bland you almost forget he's there half the time. The script is so bad even Tumblr fanfic writers would say this ain't it. The dialogue reads like the screenwriters have no idea what words mean. The acting is laughable, the action incomprehensible, and it doesn't give a rat's ass about the comics or the characters or the Spider-Man mythos and IP, only how it can bastardize those things into oblivion in the name of leeching off the success it thought Marvel Studios would still be having at this point. Good luck with that one, assholes. Calling Madame Web half-assed would be an insult to half of an ass. This is a movie so bad it will end careers. This is a movie so bad that at least some people who were involved with making it will never work in show business again. I haven't been this embarrassed to have paid my money for something in a long time. And the fact that Sony has free reign to continue defecating all over Spider-Man's supporting cast and rogues gallery like this in an increasingly pathetic campaign to set up their own cinematic Spider-Verse with no end in sight just makes me want to throw up. Happy f***ing Valentine's Day. Thanks so much for watching. For your own sake, hopefully you watched this video instead of Madame Web. While you're here, don't forget to ding that bell icon and follow my social media so you can always be notified when I upload new stuff. The links are down there. And we finally hit 50,000 subscribers in 2023, but the road to 100,000 is long and treacherous, so be sure to do all the other YouTube things too. Hit that thumbs up, share the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you're still subscribed, because what really deserves to be hunted by some bullshit evil spider person in a nonsensical plot it ripped off from several much better movies is the YouTube algorithm. That's all for now. I'll be back with more soon. Take care, stay tuned. This movie. I'll see you next time.